Now, in my show last week, someone had a question about having a high pulse rate. Every time she started keto, the pulse rate would go up, and then she would get off keto, it would come back down, and she wanted to know what is behind that. So let's talk about that. Now, when you do keto, you're lowering your carbohydrates. But going on a keto diet doesn't necessarily require you to increase other nutrients. It's really just about lowering your carbs. So as long as you lower your carbs, you produce ketones and you're on the ketogenic diet. But there's a version of the ketogenic diet, which I always recommend, called healthy keto. And what that means is this. You're doing low carb, but you're also making sure you're eating foods to include all the nutrients that your body requires. One of the interesting things that happens when you go low carb is that you are no longer holding on to a lot of your glucose, the glucose that's stored, glycogen. And this especially occurs when you do fasting. So if you're combining keto with fasting, because just within a day, you can lose a lot of your glycogen, which is stored glucose in your liver. And what you need to know is that glycogen is a sponge that holds a lot of fluid. You see, when you store fat as adipose tissue, you're not storing any fluid at all. It's only when you store glucose. So you get on the ketogenic diet, so you're dumping all this fluid. Guess what? You're also going to lose potassium, magnesium, your electrolytes. So unless you're putting these electrolytes back into the diet, you could end up with a higher pulse rate because magnesium and especially potassium have a function of keeping your pulse rate regulated and at a lower amount. And this is also why when someone starts to increase more refined carbohydrates, their pulse rate goes up because it takes potassium to store these carbohydrates as glycogen. So the more glycogen you have, you can lock up some of this potassium. So both a high carbohydrate diet can cause a potassium deficiency, and a low carbohydrate diet could also cause a potassium deficiency if you're not consuming enough. So very simply, start consuming a lot more vegetables or take potassium as a supplement. Now there's one other nutrient deficiency that can create a high pulse rate, and that is low vitamin B1, thiamine. So if by taking potassium you still have a high pulse rate, then add some B1 or nutritional yeast, and that should handle it. Before you go, if you have a question about a product or you're new to keto and you want to know how to begin keto, or you're on keto and you need a debug because it's not going as smooth, I have a keto consultant standing by to help you. This is just for the people in the US. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to answer everyone's call, but I put the number down below so you can call and get some help.